And so at this point, she's like rubbing him on the chest. You want a happy ending? And balloons and confetti fall and the lights turn up and the whole staff comes in. And it's like, happy, happy, happy ending.
We are here today with this beautiful young lady.
You don't even know how old I am.
I don't care. You're awesome. Your personality is a freaking 1,000. If there was a 1 to 10, yours is like off the charts.
Well, I thank you.
I'm not kidding. I met you 5 minutes ago, and I'm already in love.
You're exaggerating a little bit. I think it's at this point, wait, maybe 93 minutes?
We literally met an hour ago.
Little more.
Was it?
With drive time.
It was.
I think we might be coming up on 100 minutes.
100 minutes.
Of knowing each other, yes.
Now, you see these people that get married on these TV shows. It's married at first sight.
Uh-huh.
Do you think we had that?
I don't think so. I think that you just found a kindred spirit that is that can keep up with you.
Ooh.
And there's so few of us in the world that we have to stick together.
You are Laura.
Lora.
And your last name is?
Lindquist.
Lindquist.
Yes.
Okay.
So
where's that
Laura actually is phonetic, Lora. So when you texted me, you spelled my name wrong, which is a very common mistake. So it's actually Lora.
Well, thank you for the correction.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for taking it.
Absolutely.
A lot of people can't take what they want to dish out.
I can take anything.
Okay. Well, you said you did MMA, so
I've been beaten up my whole life.
Yeah,
And
I can relate to that.
People used to ask me, why do I go and abuse my body in the gym? And I would tell them, I'm not there to compete with anybody else but myself. Mm-hmm. I'm pushing myself to the limits. Mm-hmm. So when I get home and I get the Epsom salt bath and the 12 Advil, and I wake up tomorrow and I go do it again, I'm pushing myself a little bit further every day.
Well, that's an interesting take because, I mean, I was a child athlete. I've been rough and tumble. I have 5 younger brothers.
Yeah.
So I'm the second of 7 children. And with 5 younger brothers, let's be clear, I was the original big brother. I was the one that was climbing the trees. My brothers all play baseball. They're great hitters. And I, to this day, will still remind them, you know the reason you're so good at hitting a baseball is because you grew up with me pitching to you.
Your brother said that?
I said that to my brother.
Oh, you said that to your brother?
Yes,
Okay.
I say that to my brothers.
I thought they were pitching to you.
No.
You were pitching to them.
I was pitching to them.
Wow.
That's why they're such
So
good
you're
hitters.
the big brother.
I'm the original big brother.
The original big brother.
The original big brother. So
Nobody's bigger than you.
they're still they're all over 6 foot now, and they're
How tall are you? 5'1"?
5'2.5".
Ooh, that's an
Don't
insult.
forget the half.
Ooh, 5'2.5".
With shoes on, maybe. I think my license might say that I'm 5'3".
You
but
are spunky.
You know,
Do you like that word, spunky?
I'm ambivalent.
What would be the description of you?
That's I don't know that anybody's ever asked me that question. What would be the description of you? Well, I think about the answer to that question.
What would be the
the description? We just met. So I'm interviewing you about as much as you're interviewing me here because we really don't know much about each other.
As far as a description of me, I would say that I am Superman.
Okay.
A description of me is Superman because I can wear many hats, save many people. I'm genuine, have a kind heart, and will rescue people if they need it.
Okay. That's so interesting because that was one of the words that came to my mind as I was thinking. So I have many purposes in life, and I think that's where a lot of people struggle is they either don't find their purpose or they're struggling to feel like they have meaning or whatever. I've always known why I was here. And I am a service-oriented individual. My life is destined to be worn out in the service of others. And in addition to that, I also very much see myself as a rescuer. And I've told my kids and a lot of friends that when I watch certain shows and that rescuer person comes out, man, that it's not the people that are suffering that are being rescued that gets me. It's like most people don't understand that it's a different kind of struggle to be a rescuer than it is to be the rescued because it's lonely.
Yes.
And it's a hard path because everyone looks to you to be the strong one. Everyone looks to you for the solutions. Everyone looks to you to solve the problems. And when you do have your occasional colossal catatonic meltdowns, for me it's about twice a year. I don't know.
You had today, actually, though.
No.
You had a fire you had to put out today.
I did have, that was nothing.
That's nothing.
That's not.
Look at you.
But that's not me melting down. That's me like, all right, let's just fix this.
Perfect. Well, let's go back into the rescuer that you are.
So the rescuer part of me, I would have to say, comes from a place of being a fixer. right? You want to help people, the servant's heart that comes innately to me, because my primary love language is acts of service. And so I think we tend to love people in the way that we want to be loved.
Why do you think that?
Because that's just that water follows the easiest path.
Why do you think that you chose to be a rescuer early in life? Like, did you know that early on when you were a child, or did you just all of a sudden one day a kid fell on the playground, or your kids, but your brothers, that you tried to help them because they needed you because you were the big brother, big sister?
You know, it's interesting. I think it goes back to the traumatic stories of my childhood. And this is interesting that we're
tell.
Yeah, my traumatic elementary school years. So I think most rescuers start out by being bullied.
I was absolutely bullied.
I was
in elementary school.
Elementary school. Fourth year was the most hellacious year of my life.
So it gave you a superpower after that.
It brought me to a crossroad where I had to make a choice. And we were just talking about choices and how we all come to certain places in our lives where we have to make a choice. And for me, it was the playground. When I was in fourth grade, I moved from an inner city from a suburban to an inner city environment, kind of a very protected, insulated environment, to an inner city hood.
Inner city hood. What does that mean?
Inner city hood would be very poor socioeconomic, a lot of welfare kids. We lived behind welfare apartments. Kids that struggle with torn homes, a lot of drug abuse, a lot of promiscuity, gangs. That to me is what a hood is.
And I understand the definition. So sometimes people that listen to this don't really understand the definition. That's what we're trying to appease the audience.
I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
So I moved, and I don't know how much the Bay Area has changed since I grew up in the early 80s there, but I went from a suburb of Concord, California, to just below Cal State Hayward school in Hayward. And so I went to a school that was graffiti and drugs and language and gangs. And
were you ever approached to be in a gang?
I was not, but I did have the girls that were bullying me try to get me beat up by the lead gang members by writing. And this is why it's so important to know how to remember my name, because it actually saved me in the fourth grade. So the biggest, baddest bully, I don't even remember her name, but these girls that were bullying me mercilessly and heartlessly, even though I was like writing them nice notes and trying to do secret nice things for them and serve them and make them feel good about themselves. And their response was to not only send me notes that they didn't want to be my friend and to not talk to them, but then they wrote horrible things about this awful gang member bully on the bathroom wall and signed my name. But here's the thing, they spelled my name wrong. So when this girl came to me and she's like, why are you writing that I'm a hoe on the bathroom wall? And I'm like, fourth grade, 9 years old. I've just come out of this shelter. I'm like, I don't even know what a hoe is. And I'm like, and why would I spell my name wrong? That's not even how you spell my name. She just laughed. So it saved me from getting beat up.
Yeah.
So anyways, those were the types of experiences. And I was very lonely in the fourth grade because it was either choose to be part of a gang, choose to be part of the mean girls, choose to be part of something that I obviously didn't identify with, or choose to be alone.
So what year was this?
This was, let's see, I was born in 79. I was 9 years old, so that would have been
That puts you how old?
I'm 42 years
42?
old. I'm 42
You are a
years
lovely
old.
42.
Thank you. It's all the facials.
No.
Yes.
You've never had a facial in your life.
Pretty sure. I own a spa. If I wasn't the face of the company, I would have
What's a facial anyway?
A facial. Do you have skin on your face?
I think so.
Yeah, well, it needs to be cared for just like the muscles and the fascia
Really?
and all this. Yes. Do you know the largest organ in the body is the skin?
Yeah, I've had skin cancer many times.
Well, there you go. You know that having...
So what would you put on your face daily if you were protecting your skin every day? If you wanted to have a facial every day, what would...
Well, it's not actually good to unlike massage, which you could get every day.
But what is a facial? Let's be descriptive.
Sure.
What is a facial?
So a facial, and I actually didn't have my first facial till I was 40.
Wow.
When I bought my business.
I love it.
So
and you're 42?
And now
you're addicted to facials.
Well, they've really made a difference.
I can see a difference.
Well,
You
you
look
don't
so
know the
youthful.
before and after.
I think your personality makes you youthful, though.
That's definitely.
You're 5'2.5".
And a half.
You weigh probably 122 maybe.
I'm actually up to 135. I've been putting on some muscle.
But you look lean.
Well, that's because muscle is
Look at
lean.
you. You look like a little gymnast, though.
I dabbled in it, but I was actually a volleyball player, if you can believe that. So I was a setter, and I had an epiphany I had this amazing volleyball player on my table the other day. And as a setter in volleyball, you have to make quick decisions. Quick decisions constantly, all day, every day. And I remember talking to her, and as I was thinking about my old glory days on the volleyball court, I was like, because I told her, I was a setter because I was a good decision maker. And then as I thought about that, that little voice in that head, that energy, that inspiration that kind of teaches you right from wrong, truth from error, said, no, you weren't a good decision maker because you were a volleyball player. Or sorry, I totally messed that up. Scratch that. You weren't a setter because okay. I totally blew the punchline.
That's okay. Go ahead.
So I thought I was a setter because I was a good decision maker. And that epiphany in my mind was, no, you are a good decision maker because I was a setter. So that experience of having to make all those decisions quickly with very little opportunity to, every time the ball came to me, I had 5 or 6 choices to make. And so that experience as a setter primed me for a life of making quick and effective decisions.
I love that.
And so now but I'm not physically built for volleyball. They didn't have the librero like they did. Now they have this librero. They have like a position carved out for the short person.
I was watching it on the Olympics where they were playing on like the sand. Mm-hmm. These women were wearing like absolutely nothing.
Yep.
Like they are the skimpiest bikinis I've ever seen.
I know. Well,
and I'd never liked volleyball in my life. Like I really didn't ever watch it. But like I was at a bar one time and all the guys were like, duh.
Well, let's just say there were all kinds of guys that showed up every single volleyball game because they just wanted to stare at us in spandex.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Yoga pants is the best thing ever invented.
Yeah, if you say
so. But getting back to your spa, you had your first facial at 40 years old. How important is it to actually get a facial?
I would say depends on how good you want to look and how good you want to feel. So different people value different things. Some people are okay with just kind of aging gracefully.
But what's involved? If I want to go get a facial for my first facial, what would I expect? Tell me, walk me through the process.
Okay, so you're going to get a cleanse.
What's a cleanse?
Cleaning.
Okay, you're going to clean it with what?
The skin.
Like a scrub pad or something?
You need to get one of my estheticians on here because I'm a massage therapist.
Oh.
So I'm a little out of my wheelhouse here.
You're a healer.
I am a healer.
You're a spiritual healer.
I am also.
You're an energy force of helping people.
I am also.
But seriously, all right, so we take the process. You cleanse it, then you go through.
You tone, there's exfoliation. Sometimes there's masks. Right. There are peel options. Yeah. There's moisturizing. Sunscreen's really important. I have learned I had a lot of sunspots because I spent a lot of time in the sun, obviously in California. So yeah, it's just.
Did you feel revived after you got it? Like, did you feel refreshed? Did you feel like your skin was tighter?
It's just like, okay, so if you get a massage and you've never had a massage, is your life going to be magically changed after one massage?
Absolutely, especially if you give that
one massage. Well, maybe if I'm giving the massage, but no, or if Ken's giving the massage.
Yeah, Ken's amazing. That's
Ken is my mentor.
I'm scared to get a massage by a woman.
Oh, really?
I am.
Well, I am Ken's massage therapist.
I found that out today.
So
and I
that's
look at
how
Ken,
this happened.
He's 6'4", 250 pounds, and you're this 5 foot nothing. 100 and whatever pounds.
And I beat
you're over
the
there
tar out of
beating
him.
the crap out of this
well,
dude.
There's times that he's just like, easy, slower, easy. And I'm like,
kid.
all right, take a deep breath.
See, I'm nervous. Every time I get with a woman to massage me, I'm always thinking that they're not going to give me the type of massage. Plus, I like to get stretched. I like to get, and honestly, it has nothing to do really with the woman. It has to do with the fact that another man understands the muscle groups that I'm struggling with, because I'm sure they probably struggle with the same type of ailments, like, their hips hurt, their legs hurt. And when a man is going to get in there and rub it, I'm not thinking any other thoughts other than he's helping me get better.
So you're saying you have a hard time with the boundary between the natural attraction between a man and a woman. You're one of those.
But here's the thing. I literally
I've worked with a lot of those.
I've walked into a place, and we were talking about this earlier today, and you guys absolutely made me cry Ken was telling me on YouTube there was a massage therapy, like a spa. I'm not going to say
It's a spoof.
It's a spoof. It was, to be very clear, it's a spoof. So on YouTube, he goes and basically says what? That this
Okay, so we were talking about Asian massage therapy places, and somehow you're just never quite sure what you're going to get.
You're flipping a coin.
And with obviously we are very professional. We have all kinds of crazy people calling for all kinds of crazy stuff.
Tell me some examples of that.
Okay, so I'll tell you I'll rehash the two stories. So not too long ago, I got a call from a gentleman, a guy. I won't even say gentleman because he doesn't deserve that. And he's just like, so I'm wondering if you do special massage. And I'm like, special massage, sir? I'm not familiar with special massage. We do deep tissue, we have lymphatic, we do hot stone and bamboo and prenatal, but I'm not sure that I understand what you mean by a special massage. He's just like, well, I'm looking for a penis massage. And I was just like, we are definitely not going to be able to help you there, sir. We are a professional establishment, but it's all I can do to just hold my professionalism together and not lose it.
How does this guy have the nerve to call?
You know what?
What do you do? Wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to call every spot
and ask for a penis massage. So I know what goes through people's heads. But in a way, I actually have to say that at least he came out and said it.
No shit.
Then there's the other people that are like, well, I you know what? I may get in trouble for doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway because it actually happened. Okay, I'm not making fun of any particular ethnicity, but a fellow with an accent, of which I will soon impersonate, calls and he said, "So you are telling me there is no entertainment with the massage?" Entertainment with the massage.
Yeah, but on YouTube there was an entertainment.
And I told him that I was hilarious and that I can sing and I can tell some great jokes, but I don't think that's the kind of entertainment you're looking for.
I love you,
sir.
You're so awesome.
I just have a really hard time.
That is such a good positive way of spinning things around. Like you took a negative and then absolutely turned it into a positive instantaneously.
What else are you going to do?
What do you think this guy went home and said? Like, he's over there going, this lady's funny. She's going to sing me songs.
Well, I am hilarious.
I know you are. You're making me crack up.
But the point is, okay, so going back to so obviously in our profession, a lot of people are afraid to ask us, so like, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you? And like, what is that like working on naked bodies? And how does your husband feel about that? And, all these, and Ken and I did a podcast on my podcast that we talked about all that, which was really funny because he's got some crazy stories with 20 years of experience.
He cracks me up.
I've been doing it for 15 years. And between us, there's 35 years. No, I think he's like going on 22.
Yeah.
So 37 years between the two of us.
Lots of years.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So when did you get your massage therapy license?
So I came out of college. I had my first baby. My first baby. I have six children. I have 6 children that came out of this little 5'2" body.
6 kids.
6 average 9-pound babies.
You had 4 natural.
2 cesareans. Yes.
And you have a stepson?
We have my niece that's with us now. So my niece is with us now.
You have
7 children under 18. 18 and under.
How do you make time for all this?
Good time management.
You're such a badass.
Just juggle. And
now let me ask you a question. I'm going to get into a couple questions.
And then we'll go back to the
fun. We want to get to the funny stuff in a little while, but seriously, I want the audiences I'm trying to appeal to are people who are wanting to start a business.
Okay.
People who have a business currently who want to know about the struggles of a business and what marketing things they do, personnel, staffing, pay, difficulties, all the different trials and tribulations that you have of owning a business.
And what's the secret sauce?
Oh, you and I both know the secret sauce. It's called have good energy.
Well, it's not only that, but you got to focus on put people before profits.
That's genuine. We'll get into that. But you've got a degree in, you had your first kid. You were how old? 20?
I was 24.
24.
When I had my first baby, graduated from college also at 24 from Brigham Young University. Brigham Young, go Cougars. And then I was pre-chiropractic in college. So working with the body to heal itself was always kind of where my mind sat. I've always subscribed, and because I had a lot of childhood injuries. You're going to love this one. My first childhood injury was when I was 4 years old. I went golfing with my dad. He went over at 4. I had a hot dog and I had a drink, and he went over a speed bump, and these were the old school golf carts. So I was sitting on the floor. I was supposed to be holding on to the, the bar
Right.
that where the seat sits. Well, I had a hot dog and I had a drink. Last I checked, that's 2 hands and 2 items to hold. So I was not holding on. He went over a speed bump. I flipped. I have pretty quick reflexes, and I grabbed the edge of the golf cart, and it flipped me under, and it rolled over my head.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So I had my head.
How bad were you hurt?
Actually, I had here the fun part of this story. So they couldn't figure out what happened to me. So I actually ended up saving my dad because they took me to the hospital because they couldn't figure out why I was like bruised on one side and like had gravel on the other side, like and like bleeding. And so obviously one side was the dirt and the gravel and the other was the wheel that went over my head. So they take me to the hospital. They're trying to figure out what's going on. I have vague memories of this. I remember my dad picking me up and, carrying me in the house and my mom screaming, "What did you do to my baby?" So they take me to the hospital and nobody can figure out how I sustained these injuries. So the doctor takes my dad into another room and closes the blinds and says, "Now, Mr. Price, are you sure you just didn't get a little, angry or frustrated? Maybe you just took it out on..."
With gravel. Right.
So, you have boys, but if you can imagine having a daughter
Right.
and having a doctor accuse you of beating the gravel into your child's
Right.
face,
Doctors do that.
how would you feel in that type of
I
situation?
would be very defensive.
I'm sure you would not be very calm and collected. So, like any protective father, he pretty much was very defensive, to put it mildly. And then some genius had the idea, well, why don't we ask the 4-year-old what happened? Why they didn't start there, the world will never
They're
know.
supposed to be doctors, right? But they don't have common sense. They can heal you.
No, the body heals.
Oh, that's right. The body heals.
They're facilitators, same as me, same as any surgeon. Anybody that tells you they can heal you, it's full of crap. Because the body is what does the healing. We are just all facilitators.
like that, actually.
So, yes, we are facilitators.
Very good explanation.
Yes. So the healing comes from within. Because if you don't want to heal, I've known burn victims and all kinds of people. You don't want to heal, you're not going to heal. It doesn't matter if you have the best care, the best doctors in the world. If you've lost the
So
will
what
to
happened
live.
in that situation
Okay.
when they came and asked you?
So they came and asked me, what, sweetie, what happened? And how did this happen? And, it was very simple. I just said, the wheel ran over my head. And they were like, oh, well, that makes sense. And so I saved my dad from going to jail.
Good. That was good. So you graduated from Brigham Young. Mm-hmm. You got a baby.
Yep.
And-
Pre-chiropractic, had a lot of childhood injuries. That was my first one. Always wanted to do massage therapy, loved massage therapy, but felt committed to
You
the
just
chiropractic.
really like touching people.
I have actually, you know what? I was
Is that your love language? Is that your you love to touch people?
I like to touch people. I like to help. I love to help people more than I like to touch people.
Right.
So there has to be purpose behind the touch.
Where was your first job at massage therapy? Where did you work? You
So-
didn't work at one of those Asian massage, did you?
No,
Is that how you got all the good stories?
Absolutely not. My very first job when I got licensed back in 2006, actually I had 2 kids at this point because I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks into massage school, which was, again, you get on a path. I was telling you, get on a path, and then all of a sudden things just kind of go.
With 6 kids, did you just randomly just say, "Hey, baby, I'm let me make some kids," or did you just?
It was always, my husband would have been, I think, happy to stop at 2 because he came from a smaller family.
Right.
I came from a bigger family. So there was a lot of
Were these
negotiation.
kids planned?
Yes. Some, I would say only one was a surprise. And that was my second one. And we wanted to have more, but I just wasn't planning on having one while I was in massage school.
Right.
But all the rest were absolutely planned.
Okay.
And so it took some negotiating. But for me, a lot of people were like, well, how'd you know when
I
you
always
were...
like the planning to have kids.
Yeah.
Instead of the kids having the kids.
Yeah. Well, at some point you got to pull the trigger or you're just all talk.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of negotiations, but when people asked me, well, how did you know when you were done? And it just, for me, it's simply, I just felt like everybody was here.
Yeah.
When everybody felt like they were here, and my husband was like, oh my gosh, we're never going to be done. And I'm like, just relax. It's coming. We're getting close to the end. But yeah, when my last son was born, I was just like,
How old's your oldest?
my oldest is 18.
Oh, good. So you got a massage license. You're in
Got a lot-
California.
Yep. Nope,
You're-
I'm in Oregon at this point.
Oregon. That's great.
Yep, was where my husband is from. And so I was working at Eagle Crest.
Eagle Crest
Resort.
Okay.
I lasted all of 4 months. We moved out to South Carolina.
South Carolina. Wow. Where?
Yep, the Georgetown, Pawleys
Yeah,
Island
yeah,
area.
yeah.
So I built a business from the ground up
No, you didn't.
while I was having 4 more babies.
You had 4 kids.
I had 2 kids when I moved to South Carolina.
So you had 2 kids moving to South Carolina.
And I started working for a chiropractor, but I told him in the interview, this is just a passing through. I'm just looking to, pay some bills until I start my own business.
What were you getting paid?
$35 an hour.
$35 an hour.
Plus tips.
And how long ago was this?
Whew. I mean, I only worked for somebody the first year. I've been on my own ever since then. I'm not really a work for other people kind of person.
I like that. So you started your own business in South Carolina.
Yep.
What did you do? Rent a building somewhere?
No, actually, my parents owned a bed and breakfast. And so I had...
In South Carolina?
In South Carolina.
Okay.
So part of the draw for us to go out there was they were like, hey, bring the grandkids, because they had moved away from California to South Carolina. And they're like, bring the grandkids and, hey, we'll let you work out of our facility. So it was kind of a quid pro quo a little bit.
What did you need startup cash to get started?
Massage is a very low capital. If you got a table and you've got a space to work, a lot of people will work out of their homes. Your overhead is lotion and laundry.
So you can get started fairly inexpensive.
Well,
your
after school.
But how much was school?
School was $11,000.
Okay, so 11 grand. You started a bed and breakfast.
No, my parents did.
Your parents started the bed and breakfast, but you started a business inside the bed and breakfast. So you rented a room.
I didn't rent. Rent was that I brought the grandkids.
Oh, you brought the grandkids. That was the rent.
That was the
collateral.
Rent. That was the deal.
That was the leverage.
That was what I call the social capital.
Social
which
capital.
Is very underutilized in building business. Social capital is how I have built.
Explain that.
Okay, so social capital is relationships. Social capital is how you treat people when they're having a bad day so that they feel like you care about them, so that when you need something, you've now deposited in that relationship bank account.
Yes.
Because you're showing that you care about them more than you care about just yourself. And so just like you have a physical bank account, and if you're going to try to get a loan and you're trying to make something happen, you have to put physical money in that bank account. Well, if you're going to make things happen, the connections and the people and the relationships that you develop, you've got to make deposits
100%
into those bank accounts.
I mean, preach that. Please tell
And
me
so,
that again.
Social capital. You
Love
want to
it.
build a business? Learn how to deal with people and learn how to care about people and learn, most importantly, this comes full circle, how to serve people. Because when you serve people, they feel your love for them.
Right.
And if people don't feel like you care about them, it's that whole cliche, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I mean, we've all heard that, right?
100%.
You've heard that, right?
For sure.
Okay. Just checking, because I swear I said that the other day to like an adult and they're like, no, I've never heard that. And I'm like,
Boom.
what have you been living under a rock? Anyways, but social capital. So I started doing massage out of my home and I went to a fitness class. And
Like Zumba?
it was a yoga. It was a yoga
Yeah.
Pilates
Yeah.
class. And so this was somebody that I had met that I had built a relationship with, and it was her class. And some of her clients were in the class and they were complaining about hip pain. And I was just like, hey, do you mind if I work that out for you?
Right.
And turns out that these are the owners of what is called the Seaview Inn in Pawleys Island. Sassy and Brian Henry, he's actually the mayor of Pawleys Island now. He wasn't then, but he is now.
You were depositing some good energy.
And so I saw a need.
Yeah.
And I had a talent to be able to help, so I offered to help. And I was able to give her some relief from her hip pain. And they were like, oh, well, gosh, when can I come see you? And just like today. And I was just like, can you give me 15 minutes? And she literally, I had to go home, prep my room, and she was on my table that day. We had a great session, started to build that relationship, saw her a couple of times, and then just one day started talking about, I think I'd like to leverage being at the beach and working with the transient population that's coming here for vacation. I think it'd be a great thing to offer is massage when you're at the beach, right? What's better than massage at the beach?
You play golf?
I do play golf.
But I'm saying the golfers are always wanting a little massage down
That's true. And golfers, you got to be careful with golfers. There's different kinds
Yeah,
of...
we'll go into that later. But you're tell me about the transaction between you and...
So it starts with she invites me over. They have a girls' weekend they do every October. So we start with that. And it was just kind of this give and take. And then I would offer massages to her staff. And then her sister went and I would offer massages to her family. So I'm putting myself in a position to serve her and meet her and her staff's needs. And so what does that do? That makes people want to reciprocate.
Right.
When you make deposits into people's social accounts and you show that they care, they're naturally going to want to reciprocate. And you're building social capital. And then one day, this went on for a couple months, and I think my first season we just did chair massage. And then her sister was like, "Hey, Sassy, you know that room downstairs is just like a catch-all for, why don't you clean that out and turn that into a massage room?" And she was like, "That's a great idea." And Seaview Inn has had massage in-house there at the beach because it's a 20-room. It's more than a bed and breakfast because they actually give you multiple meals through the day, and it's right on the beach, and it's totally awesome. And so that started the first of my 9-year stint, where I built that business from the ground up. And the great thing about that facility is the same people would come back every week, every year, and so I would make notes in my calendar and I would write people's names down. And when they came back the next year, I would remember the faces and I'd remember the stories, and I'd go and be like, "Okay, this week we got Rena, we got Charlotte, we got, Joe," and they'd come and I'd get there early and I'd come to breakfast and I'd schmooze them. I'd be like, "Welcome back, guys. Joe, how you doing? I heard, is your son in medical school now? How's that going?" It's actually caring about people. It's not just a transaction. It's a relationship.
100%.
And so because I made the effort, and they were like, "I can't believe you remember my name." And I would level with them. I'm like, "I cheated. I wrote it down." But they're like, "But you cared enough.
You cared enough
to write it down.
Right.
And you didn't write down my story." And so when you care about people, you remember these things. And sometimes you cross your wires and be like, "Oh, were you the one where," and people will forgive you for that because you're making the effort to remember. Which is kind of funny because I'm super flibberty-gibbet all over the place, and I sometimes can't remember what I had for breakfast or where my keys are.
That's okay.
Or where my phone is. My kids at this point will be like, "Mom, I found your phone over here. It's here on the counter. I know you're going to be looking for it in 15 minutes." And I'm like, "Thank you. You know me so well."
So you've got Polly's Island.
So Polly's Island,
Then what?
and then about 7 years in,
What kind of money were you making?
I was making $90 an hour.
Okay.
But
Which equates to
plus tips.
What'd you make a year? Seriously, as a massage therapist, you running your own practice.
But see, you also have to tie in the fact that I was growing my family at the same time. So I limited the growth of my business, because here's one of the most important things that I think every woman should know that wants to build a business. And it can apply to men as well. But when you're trying to have children and grow a family, you can have it all. You just can't have it all at the same time. And that was a period of time where I had to dedicate to having my children. Pregnancy is very demanding on the body. Now, I worked all 4 pregnancies, I worked all the way up to delivery, like within a day or two.
So what do you think about all these
delivery.
women out there that make excuses?
The same thing I think about all the men out there that make excuses.
I love it. I love it.
An excuse is just
But you're here, a powerful woman.
Mm-hmm.
You're petite. You're hardworking, determined, high energy, multiple kids, owning your own business, giving back to
running
others.
Spartan races, took my body back. I'm actually down 50 pounds from my heaviest after I had my kids. So yeah, Spartan was one of the tools I used. But the moms are just like, "Oh, well, I guess you just have to get old. I guess you just have to have pain."
What happens is I witness, whether this be 100% accurate, but I hear from other men that are friends, associates, people I've come in contact with, that complain that, "Oh, my wife doesn't do anything. She just sits around the house. She says that she works all the time, gets the kids up, takes them to school, does all these little things." How did you manage that life when you had so many kids? You got meals prepped, kids to school.
Oh, I don't even want to tell you about all the teenagers that came through the home of other people's children that we fostered. So it was, but I'll tell you.
Are you like 3 women in one?
No, I'll tell you how we did it. I had a great partner because I would not have had that many children without a great husband.
Yeah, your husband's amazing.
So yeah, he obviously.
But you're pretty amazing as well.
Well, water seeks its own level. So
water seeks its own level. Who came up with that?
I don't know. Have you not heard that one?
That one
Is
I have. That one.
Is that
That one's new to me.
that's new? Okay, water seeks its own
I'm
level.
going to keep that one though.
Okay, put that in your back pocket.
That one's there. Front pocket.
Okay, whatever you want to do. So, first off, I didn't do it alone. I can't take credit. I had.
Do you have a nanny?
I had people that I traded with for massage. I did a lot of barter. I did barter for, I lived a much high, you asked me how much I made, and what my tax return says I made and the lifestyle that I lived were two very different things, even to today. So I bartered for chiropractic. I bartered for photography. I bartered for beach house time, for vacation time for my kids. I bartered for food prep. I bartered for babysitting. I mean, I bartered for accounting. I bartered for lawyer services. And so you kind of have these relationships with people, and that social capital that you build up, and that is as good as any money that you're going to spend.
Your bank account was full.
My bank account was empty.
But
my bank account, like I could count, I don't want to tell you how many years that I had under $100 in my bank account, because I was just living paycheck to paycheck. But I had to balance between, okay, I've got this time with my kids that they're only going to be little for a certain period of time. I only worked just enough so that I could afford to spend as much time with them as possible.
Was that stressful to you?
There's a healthy amount of stress. Of course, there's some stress that comes with finding that balance, but I loved what I did. I enjoyed it. It was a really good outlet for me. And here's another thing that I would tell moms. And you asked, well, husbands that complain about women, she says she works all the time. Okay, to that guy, I would ask one question. Have you ever taken a turn being the stay-at-home parent?
It's tough. I've done it before.
If you haven't,
I could not wait.
You don't get to ask that question.
You know, I have friends of mine. I have a really close friend of mine that says she can't have an opinion on something until she's actually experienced it.
That's exactly right. So if you want to get all judgy about what it's like to be a stay-at-home parent, why don't you? And my husband and I have taken turns. Yeah. There have been times where he's been the full-time stay-at-home parent, and we did shifts when he went back to school.
Was he good at it?
I think he's great at it. He is. I would say it takes more of a toll on. It takes more of a toll on him, which makes him much more of a trooper, because I enjoy it. And there's this analogy, when like the kids would jump on him, and when we would jump on our dad, and like when a bunch of kids attack a grown man, it's like he just laughs and he tucks one under his elbow and one under his ankle and one under his knee, and it doesn't matter. They're no match for him. Emotionally, I'm that person. So I've got 4 teenagers and a tween in my house right now. And it's drama all the time. There's always this, that, or the other. And when they want to get upset about this or that, I will wrap one under my elbow and I will emotionally wrestle and spar them all into the ground, because that's my emotional and mental and psychological capacity.
That's incredible.
And introverts don't really have that.
Right.
So it's not a judgment. It's
exhausting to them.
It was so exhausting. So if anything, it was harder for him to do it because it didn't come as naturally.
Because you created a playground. You created a fun zone.
Well, I don't know. I can be... one thing we definitely agree on is like accountability.
Right. He'll
hold them accountable just as well as I will. And I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, when my 2 oldest kids were, 16, 14, I don't know who asked them a question, but they're like, who's scarier, your mom or your dad? And they both went, because my husband's a big redheaded. He was, ex-cop, very kind of intimidating. And he's got that, RBF going on.
I would be scareder of you.
Well, the kids were like, well, dad's more like physically intimidating, but you're just terrifying. And I was like, thanks, guys.
That was a compliment. One thing I learned is I'm a big, loud, crazy, obnoxious guy, and I yell and scream at my kids all the time when they were young, but I didn't have any ill intent. I was just yelling to yell, right?
Yeah.
And I watched the Super Nanny.
I remember those years.
You do? Yeah. I'm glad everybody at least experienced them. But I ended up watching the Super Nanny, this British lady on TV, and she put this little kid down on a chair, on stairs, and got right eye to eye and got really close and pointed at the kid and got right in the nose. And when people, even my friends, I don't care who it is, they come in, if they're not going to kiss me and they're looking at my nose and they're giving me the heebie-jeebies, the skin on the back of my neck.
Unless it's your esthetician analyzing your pores. Yeah.
Exactly. But that's scary. And it was funny because I turned around and did that to my son one time. I just tried it because I saw it on TV. And I go sitting down, I put on the thing and I go, son, I look him right in the eye, I get nose to nose, I point my finger, and I whisper. And I literally just whisper. So he has to pay attention. Wasn't an hour later, or 10 minutes later, he looks over, Mom, Dad's mad.
Well, that's that whole still waters run
Yeah.
deep. And, we were talking about God a
Right.
little bit earlier, and, the scriptures talk about how God speaks with a still small voice. He's not in the earthquake. He's not in the fire. He's not in the, the great tumultuous noise. It's that still small voice. And that's when Dad means business. And actually, when I go
Calm.
super calm
Yeah.
and I talk to my kids in this tone, they know Mom is about to go
Ape shit. Ape shit.
postal.
Postal? You like that word, postal?
Sure, why not?
Come up with another one. What's a better one?
Catatonic.
Catatonic.
Yeah.
Who the hell says catatonic?
Mom's going to lose it. And
She's
so
gonna flip her lid.
that's never a fun scenario. Because yes, I am loud and I'm rambunctious, but there's a difference between when I'm loud and when I'm yelling.
Sure.
And I reserve the yelling
Right.
for very special
The other,
circumstances.
I got to go back a little bit. Mm-hmm. How does it feel to have $100 or less in your bank account, and then you go, man, I've got to go massage 2 or 3 people to put food on the table?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have those thoughts?
I always had a lot of faith that the work would come, and it always did. And so I think the error in that mindset is you're looking for something to go wrong. I always looked for it to go right. And guess what?
It did.
It always did.
Positive energy attracts positive energy.
Absolutely.
Action creates action.
And so for me, I was always very content. As long as I had what I needed, it was enough. If there was 20 cents in my bank account and all my bills were paid and all my needs were met, I was good.
Yeah.
I'm good. My dad, who's terrible with money, the most brilliant, and you want to talk about social capital. I learned everything I could possibly learn about people and how to treat people. My dad is a saint. He is, if you don't like my dad, there's something wrong with you, because he is the most loving, service-oriented, amazing man on the planet. Everyone, to know him is to love him. And he, as bad as he is with money, he taught me a really important, as far as managing money. He's great at making it, terrible at managing it. But he taught me an important lesson about money. And because you have to have a healthy relationship with money, just like you have to have a healthy relationship with people, or a healthy relationship with food, or a healthy relationship with God, or a healthy relationship with whatever, And so he taught me that it's just money. You can always make more.
You can. I have that belief.
You can always
actually.
make more.
I feel that actually.
And so
I feel like you can just make more.
Yeah. And so my philosophy, and I know some of my worrier, I have a very high threshold for risk. And people who are more, like my husband's the worrier and I'm like the risk taker. And so I'm just like, it's going to be okay. It's all right. I got you. It's going to be good. But he just can't. He's just like,
You're selling it.
But what?
You're
but what?
selling it. You're selling it.
But the thing is, it's not about selling it. It's about just going and making it
But
happen.
you believed it. Internally, you believed it.
I did.
Yeah.
Because
there was no doubt in your mind when you went forward.
Well, when things don't work out the way that you want, then you go find another way to make it out.
Yeah.
You just never say die. And I'll come back to this story that you said you wanted me to tell. So I moved to Charlotte. I'm recruited here by some of my my clients. I continue to build my solopreneur business. I've got a good thing going. I'm doing mostly outcall. And my husband brings me this business listing for Palestra Boutique Spa.
What's it called again?
Palestra?
Palestra.
Yes, it goes back to the ancient Roman and Greek times.
Yeah.
And it was the gymnasium, the wrestling stadium, the health center. It was the.
I got it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I like
that's
it.
the Palestra.
Sexy.
So Palestra Boutique Spa.
Look at you with your eyebrows. going up. You like saying that.
Well, I've
You're
had
flirting with yourself just saying the name.
Everyone else does. I may as well.
Does it give you excitement when you say it?
Anyway, so my husband brings me this listing for Palestra Boutique Spa, and I didn't even finish reading through the listing before I handed his phone back to him, and I was just like, yeah, not interested. And he's like, no, but just like, let's just look at it. And I was like, why would I buy a business with a ton of capital when I have a business with almost no capital? Why would I do that? I'm doing well. Now this is in 2019.
2019.
The beginning of 2019.
Right before the big boom.
Well, long story short, I do buy the business in December.
How much was the business?
That is another story in and of itself. It
Just give
started
me
out
the quick quick overview. What was
Ended up for $100,000.
You bought a business for
I bought
$100,000.
$100,000.
Did you take a loan out for it?
No, I actually got an owner finance deal.
Owner finance?
Yeah, I did 20 grand down.
Okay, you gave her 20 grand.
Gave them.
You didn't have $100 in your bank account. You had some money built up from all this.
I did. I had a little bit. And so, but actually I came on, so I didn't have the 20 grand actually. I just worked a deal where I could have the 20 grand. So I came on as a therapist and they basically let me work the month of December, which is a huge revenue.
You
and
just
they
killed it.
And they let me use my profits from my December killings to give them their down payment.
You're smart.
I'm resourceful. I'm scrappy. You know what I like more than spunky? Scrappy.
Scrappy.
I'm scrappy.
All right.
Because I'm the underdog.
Was that in
Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo. Scrappy.
Hopefully less annoying than scrappy.
Yeah.
But definitely little dog syndrome. I guilty.
You have little dog syndrome. You bark really loud.
Do
you bite?
I do.
Do you? See, I have a Yorkie.
do.
I have a little Yorkie.
Yeah.
I have two of them. I have one that'll bite the living hell out of you.
Yeah, no,
and I got the other one who'll just lick the crap.
But
out of you.
I'll warn you before I bite you.
Good, that's
because
smart.
I'd rather not. But don't.
Right. So you got this
don't-
business, 100 grand, give them 20 grand down.
that I earned from working the business in my first month.
Right.
And then
what? Tell me what happened.
So this is December 3rd. We moved the business because the landlord decides they don't want to sell. They don't want to release to me. So I buy the business because that's why they had to owner finance. I couldn't get a loan because I couldn't get a lease. So I had to go find a new building inside of this. It was really miraculous. Inside of 1 week, I had an LOI. The deal was closed. The business deal closed December 3rd. We closed Christmas Eve. And I had to have the place up and ready. We opened again on January 1st. So I moved the entire business
Overnight.
in a week.
That's crazy.
Well,
in a week.
10 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where'd you move the business? Down the road?
So down the road, 3 blocks.
How much was the lease?
The lease was actually $1,400 less a month. So it was a blessing in disguise. So the landlord that didn't want to lease to me did me a favor.
Oh, yeah.
Because I saved so much money.
You opened one door closed
Nope.
and a million doors
That's
open.
what I'm saying. When that stuff happens, you take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm not meant to head down this path. I'm going to find a new one. And this was not the path I was meant to go down. So, and here's another lesson my dad taught me. When it comes to business, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to anything, things aren't working out. There's one magic word. Next.
Next.
What's next?
There's another door open.
Yep. What, you don't want to lease me your building? Okay. Next. I'll find somebody who does. Okay. You're not going to give me a loan because I don't have an established lease. Okay. Next. What's another? How can we problem solve this? How can we come up with a creative solution? And at one point, the owner of the business was like, we're just going to shut down the business. I said, well, if you're going to do that, you may as well just give it to me. I'm like, if you're going to shut it down and you're going to leave all your people out in the cold like that, you may as well just give it to me, at least do the right thing for them.
And they gave it to you?
And then he was just like, well, I'll take 100 grand instead of 180. And I was just like, okay, don't be emotional, man. Don't be emotional. Let's work
Do you
something
think
out.
you could have been a little harder and negotiated like 50 grand or something? Because they're about to shut the place down?
No, I probably could have, but at the same time,
You really wanted
they
it.
were going through a hard time too. This was hard. This was a
So
business.
you were being heartfelt to them as well.
I was being what I felt was reasonable.
Generous.
I was being, and I am. I'm reasonable and I'm generous. And it's karmic. What you put out there comes back.
I agree 100% with
So
that.
I buy the business. I move the business. I get set. Now we're into 2020. Okay. I opened January 1st, 2020 at the new location. Everybody knows what's coming, right? You know what's coming. So even before COVID, okay. So I put like 25 grand into the outfit, which for an outfit is not bad. Like the bones were there. The rooms were good. Paint, floors, doors, decorations, but all in all, compared to the outfit that I'm doing now, which is like an $800,000 build out I haven't even told you about that, for us upgrading into our next space because we've outgrown this one. Yeah, 25 grand. People are like, oh, you put so much money into it. I'm like, this is dropping the bucket, y'all. This is nothing. So, but we've got it all ready to go. And then I planned a grand opening event because we got a new location. I put like 5 grand into this event. We've got a tent. I've got caterers. It's the busiest day on the books that we've had so far. It's a Saturday. It's Leap Day 2020. Guys, I was just like, that's so cool. It falls on a Saturday. February 29th, it only happens once every 4 years. We're going to have our event that day. So we're all working because as an owner operator, I'm in the trenches. I am working with my team. So I'm in session and I come out and they're like, Laura, we have a problem. I'm like, what's the problem? It's like 10:30 in the morning. And there's some water that's pooling on the floor by one of our back stock rooms. And so we're like, okay, we'll just mop that up. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Long story short, there was a blockage that took us months to figure out what the real problem was. But what the real problem was a blockage from the pipes all the way down underneath the sidewalk from just years of buildup.
Right.
And because this was a medical center that didn't have the kind of water usage that we have with aesthetics, there was only like 200 feet or 100 feet or whatever. And when the water backs up, so the water's coming up. This is septic water. Okay, this is toilet water. So I'm losing square footage every minute. The water is going, I lose half of my brand new flooring, the baseboards. We have to cancel people. I've got an event in 4 hours. I've got a hair appointment. And so when the gravity, I go in and do one more session, I come out and they're just like, you can hear the water just spreading underneath all the floors when you step on it and it squishes. And so the water's just spreading everywhere. And I just realize, you
have to shut down.
I'm going to have to shut down.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to shut down. And so, and here's what's important to embrace about those moments. And my lead massage therapist, Brian, who's been with me from the beginning, and he's going to be my new business partner he was there with me on that day. And he'll tell you, I went over into a corner and I took the fetal position. It I sat down and I hugged my knees and I cried for about 30 seconds. And then I took a deep breath and I got up and I got back to work.
What'd you do first?
So, but the reason I tell that story is because
you reset.
It's okay to take that moment.
Yeah, you owned it. You said, you know what?
I need to take a minute to grieve.
Yeah. You cried.
That this is a shit show. Literally.
Yeah.
Like toilet water coming up. And I'm gonna have to shut down and I'm gonna lose all this money on the day. And I have 100+ people RSVP'd to come to this event tonight. And what am I gonna do? And so I took my moment, and I think it's important to emphasize it's okay to take that moment, but you can't stay there. You got to take a deep breath, get up, and get back to work.
Well, too many people are counting on you.
So, and Brian, he was just like, that was you breaking down? I was like, yeah, that was me breaking down. And I was like, what am I going to do? And he's like, that resiliency is becoming a lost art. Because if you just have the attitude of, if things don't go right, I'm just going to give up. Well, you'll never get anywhere. In a business, you have to expect that things are going to get hard, that things are going to be unpredictable, that things are not going to work. And the solution to that is next.
Next.
What's next?
Your dad taught you that.
My dad taught me that. What's next?
So what did happen next?
So I had have a great relationship with an owner of a Serve Pro franchise. So I called him. He was there by 3 p.m. ripping up floors, hazmat, like everything's coming up because it flooded half. And so we went up to the attic and we grabbed one of our doors, reinstalled it so that we could shut off half of the facility that was not usable. We were having food.
How did you stop the water?
We just had to stop services.
Did you just shut the water off?
Yeah, we just had to stop services.
Okay.
So we lost.
Did people still come?
So we obviously didn't advertise that we had a catastrophic water event that day. So fortunately, we did have the tent set up. So I went to my hair appointment. I got my hair done. I got my makeup done. I got in my dress. I put on my heels, which I don't wear heels very often because they're awful and they're terrible. But I put on my
5'3.5".
Now I'm 5'. I might have been 5'5" that, maybe 5'4". Yeah, no. So I'm tall that night.
Right.
And everyone's showing up, and you know what? I was just like, we're going to make the best of it. And so we shut off the part of the building that we couldn't use, and we used the part of the building that we could. And remember, this is February 29th.
Yeah.
Okay? How close are we to the COVID bomb dropping?
At least another 30 days.
No.
No?
Less than 2 weeks.
Was it? It was in March, right?
It was, trust me, I know.
What day was it in March?
It was the 13th.
Was it? Okay.
It was the 13th. I know because I called, again, social capital. I made some phone calls. Back then, construction's going gangbusters, right? You can't find anybody to do work. I call some people. I got a contractor for you. He's going to give you some priority. I know you really need it. I appreciate that. He comes, he gets me back up and running. I'm back up and running in 11 days.
Good for you.
I reopen March 11th and then March 13th. Boom.
That's crazy.
Everybody
Did you have to shut down?
Everybody, yes. We stayed open as long as was legally allowed, which was March 25th. I know these dates because I was pushing the envelope, and we may have stayed open a few hours longer than we should have that last day. But
you had to shut down because you weren't considered essential, right?
We were not considered
How
essential.
long did it take you to get back open?
So we were allowed to reopen for medical massage on May 8th. So we were shut down. But see, at that point, I realized, okay, next. What's next?
What was next?
Next was I was probably one of the first people out there applying for EIDL, applying for PPP, figuring out what programs are out there, how the government was going to, have these programs out there for small businesses. And I got to work. And I not only had Palestra Boutique Spa, but I also had my Blue Heron Massage Flies to You business. So I had 2 businesses. Now, Blue Heron Massage was much more more established. It had more of a financial history. So I actually got a lot more money for Blue Heron Massage than I did for Palestra because I'd only owned it for 3 months.
Oh, that's great.
I had no financial history for that business.
Did you go mobile? Did you do anything? Did you go do house calls?
I did do some house calls under the condition that I could pull my car in because there's a lot of, what do they call them? What do they call them? Not Nancy's, the people that are always like, gonna rat you out.
rat you out.
Rat you out. The people that are like calling the cops. Oh, there's people doing massage over here.
Spies.
No, I'm talking the Karens.
Narcs.
Karens. The Karens.
Who came up with that name?
I don't know, but I'm the opposite of a Karen. I'm a Shirley. You know why?
Why?
Because I surely do not care.
I love it.
So anyways, obviously there's like a ton of Karens out there that I'm like, I got to pull into your garage. I can't see anybody hauling me on my table because, there's just people that are going to call the cops and whatever. Yeah. And so, but if somebody's going to call me, again, it's about the relationship. Somebody's going to call me and be like, I'm in pain. I really need some body work. I'm not going to tell them no.
Yeah, you can be like, I'm coming.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Did you charge extra?
No.
No, you changed.
No.
What was your rate?
My rate for travel at that point was $110 an hour.
$110 an hour. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so,
now let me ask
plus
you a question.
tips.
Plus
okay?
tips.
Plus
Good
tips.
tips. Especially during that time. I bet you it was great tips.
Yeah.
Were you more of a mental therapist for people too, though?
I've always joked that I should double bill. I should go back and get my certified, professional counselor license.
Because I go see Ken. He's going to be airing on one of my podcasts. We did a really good podcast. It was almost 3 hours.
Wow.
He started smoking pot at 10 years old. Did you know that?
Well, he had a rough go.
He did.
He was the dad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he had to grow up fast.
But the thing is, every time I go, he's my physical therapist. I call him a physical therapist.
Mm-hmm. That's technically not correct. He could get in trouble for that. So that's a different.
I personally call him a physical therapist.
Sure.
And he is more a mental therapist. He comes in today and he goes, "How you feeling?" And I go, "I'm hurting here and hurting here." And then we start talking.
He's like, "But how you doing?"
Yeah, but how you doing?
But how you doing?
And you know what the thing is? He's so easygoing. Mm-hmm. And he
he's one of my best friends.
He's now one of mine. Mm-hmm. And he's
that's the first thing you said to me when you met me. He was just like, are you working with my guy? And I was just like, I know you don't want to throw hands with me right now.
Throw hands?
I was just like, I know you don't want to throw down. Or I said something.
Hey, I'm gonna have
something
to
like that.
Well, I'm gonna have to throw knees with you.
That was like the first thing.
Yeah.
That was like the first thing we said to each other. You're just like,
you
were like, what are you taking my guy? And I was just like,
I said, no, what are you working with my guy?
And I was just like,
I said, that's my guy.
I was just like,
I said, I'm sharing my guy with you.
I was just like, yeah. What? I was just like, I know you don't want to go to blows over me with this right now.
Now that I know you a little bit better, I will not go to blows with you at all. You will absolutely sparky me to death. Spunky me to death.
No.
Sparky. What was it?
No, not Sparky. It was It was
Scrappy.
Scrappy.
Yeah, you're gonna listen. I'll be the guy that literally cannot get a punch in.
That's
you
okay.
You will hit me 3,000 times.
But you know what? It's not even about the physical. It's about a mental toughness.
Yeah, but the thing is, he is a mental therapist. He is a physical therapist. He is a genuinely
amazing human being.
He is absolutely great human being.
Yeah,
and I can tell that you are as well.
Well, thank you.
If you're friends with him,
you should have seen your face when Ken was like, "Yeah, this is Laura. She's my massage therapist," and he was like,
I literally my jaw dropped to the ground.
What?
Yeah.
And he's like,
I was cross-eyed.
He actually had to repeat it. He's like, "She's my massage therapist," and he was like, "What?
Yeah.
And I was just like,
when I met you,
don't judge it by its cover.
That's what people. I was basically telling you. I said, listen, I rub people the wrong way. Usually, the first 30 seconds they meet me.
No, what it is with people like us, they either love us
or they hate us,
or they and they don't just hate us. They loathe us.
I don't know why. It's like I think
I'll
the
tell
most
you why.
outgoing,
I figured it out.
Nicest guy, genuine, helpful,
I figured it
loving,
out.
caring. What is it?
I know exactly what it is.
What is it?
It's because people like you and I genuinely like ourselves.
We love ourselves.
I love me some me.
I look in the mirror, I go, damn, that's a good-looking dude right
God
there.
did not make any mistakes when he made me. Okay? Yes. Okay, I love me some me. And you should love you some you too.
I love it.
Right? And so
why is it not okay to like yourself?
No, I think and that is the definition of confidence. And actually, I had a total spiritual epiphany one day when I was in this conference with a bunch of women who were talking about all the guilt and all the pressure and not feeling good enough. And I'm looking around being like, I never feel that way. Is there something wrong with me? And that voice
and
that,
you have 6
that
kids.
for me is God, and we had that conversation,
right.
For me is God, spoke to me and said, you feel the way you do about yourself because you see yourself the way I see you.
I love it.
And that's confidence. When you see yourself.
Is it conceited?
No. Well, it can be. Just like humility can turn into self-deprecation. Because that's, I think, what people are they're feigning humility. And it's turning into masochism. And so when you're confident, that can absolutely turn into narcissism. And
I've been told I was a narcissist, and I've had many of my close friends say that.
I joke and tell people I'm a functional, recovering narcissist. I mean, it's okay, whatever.
Well.
But I do. I love me some me, and I'll tell you why people can't stand us.
Why?
It's because we're naturally confident, we like ourselves, and they don't.
They
don't like themselves because they like themselves and they see what we have and they want it.
I flocked to you though. Like when I met you, your energy force said, "Come get me some." I was like, hell yeah. I mean, right?
Well, but that's the thing. And there are certain people that are drawn to me, but those are the people that are looking, that have a growth mindset, that want to problem solve, that want to become better. But there are some people that go into this zone.
I want to go into something a little deeper. Mm-hmm. Okay, number 1, I flirted with you. Number 2, I'm attracted to you. Number 3, I just met you. Number 4, you're married. Number 5, you have 6 kids. We've already hugged. We've already gave each other compliments. We're already laughing.
I have to give him props. I rolled up in my minivan, which my husband's been giving me grief about this for years. He owns a tinting company.
Window
tinting.
Stoppers.
He literally had my car pulled up and had my windows tinted.
You're here. I literally said to
I'm
this,
like, wait, what?
Friends don't let friends ride around naked. That is my rule. If you're my friend, you can't ride around naked. He
came up to me, he's like, I'm going to take care of you. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
I'm taking care of you.
And
hey, hold on. I'm making a deposit.
Well,
hey, I'm making a deposit.
He's making building that social capital.
Seriously, I want to go down a path that's
so it sounds like I owe you a massage.
No, you don't owe me anything because I offered.
We'll see.
If I need a favor, then I can ask for one genuinely.
Yeah.
And if you decide to say yes or no, that's on you.
But it's but it's not an expectation. But what that does is it makes me want to offer you a massage.
And I love that.
And that's how social capital
I feel
works.
like you taking your time to come down here and follow me and come on this podcast.
I did have to move some things around.
But here's the thing. I felt an obligation in my heart to give you that tent job.
Wow. But see, that's because you look to invest in people that you see get it.
Yeah.
Because when you surround yourself, and we talked a lot about, or we talked right before we went on the air, surrounding yourself with people smarter than you.
Sure.
And that have assets and skills and abilities you don't have, because then that just builds this community and you grow together.
We do. I'm going to gas you up.
No.
That's what a friend of mine said. I'm going to gas you up. Like I'm going to tell everybody today, I met this little scrappy, spunky little girl.
You got it right now. It's scrappy.
And now I'm a fan.
Oh, well, thank you.
See, now I'm going to be a fan.
And I'm going to have you on my podcast once I kick it back up. And
absolutely.
So we'll do this.
100%. I would love it.
But going back to business.
I want to dive into something deeper though.
Okay.
I was going down a path where I said, I flirted with you. I just met you.
Okay.
I was giving you compliments. I don't know if I insulted you, but it was like one of those things when I just met you, I said something kind of could have been taken in a negative context.
Sure.
Could you see that, right?
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a sexual connotation.
But I'm saying when you said you're with my man and you're with my buddy, I was just making jokes. I was being humorous, right?
Yeah.
But you took it as humorous.
Sure.
Sure, because you're a personality that could read that was like, oh, you have a confidence about you, an aura about you. When you give someone a compliment and you're a man, the Me Too movement has been very hard on most men I know. Because when you're like me, I don't have an ill intent. I'm very happy with myself. I'm very happy with my relationship, the people I'm with. I'm not trying to pick you up. I'm not trying to get your number. I'm trying to give you a little bit of that in sports, a that-a-boy. Like, I respect you already. Like, you're an equal to me now.
And that's a very masculine attribute. And I grew up one of the guys, and I get that. So for a woman, I'm actually a very masculine woman. Like, I feel very comfortable in a room full of men. Like, I love it. So
what do men do now? So now I feel like I was making a joke at the bar the other day where I said, I'm going to create an app. I'm just going to go down this really quickly and see what your thoughts are. I'm going to create an app that has your credit score, okay? Like Credit Karma, like you're a man or a female and you're raised up to a certain level. So you're in your 40s, you're divorced, and you're now rebuilding your life trying to date. Well, in that, you want your credit report, your history of dating, okay? So now you can give a review based on questions. So you have like 1, 2 to like 25. It's predetermined questions, and your previous person you dated can say good kisser, open the door, romantic, showed up on time, just a list of questions like a Google review of dating. Okay. Then,
gosh, I'm so glad I'm out of the dating scene. I would be 20 years in July, and woo!
But imagine, okay, the dating field today, they got Tinder, Bumble, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat.
What a zoo.
It's a freaking cluster L. So you're sitting at the bar, and you have this scan on your phone where you can kind of scan. You meet a female, right? And you're like over there thinking, okay, honey, you're pretty cute. I want to buy you a drink or something. But that girl's over there like, I don't know this guy. He looks like he's got a nice suit on. He's got a nice watch. He looks like he's kind of doing okay for himself. But this guy could be a poser, right? A poser.
Totally.
And so he could be living in an apartment, driving a BMW he can't afford. And he's divorced where the wife got everything. And he's bankrupt. But he's still trying to play like he's a player. Okay.
But see, that's that inauthenticity where you're trying to be something that you're not.
I know, but
people
so
just
many
need
people
to
do
be
that.
what they are.
But so many people do.
Yeah, but
going back to this app, okay?
The app.
So you're a successful businesswoman who is recently divorced, maybe a year or two, and they're in their 40s, and all of a sudden you want to get this app where you can charge a couple, $5 a month or whatever to be in this. It's like Verify. It's like a crime, like a criminal report. Like
you just want to make sure that you're not going to show up to a date and end up in somebody's trunk.
This is true. So Verify, like it's a verification of who the person is, his job history, dating history, his credit score, and the person has to fill this out. But this is the kicker right here. At the very bottom of this app, there's an NDA in there that says
non-disclosure agreement.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just making sure that we're talking about the same NDA.
Let's just say a contract. Let's get rid of the NDA and let's just say contract. And there's a disclosure statement. Okay. And in that disclosure statement says, if we like each other, I can touch you. Okay. You give me your consent to touch you. Okay. That means if you sign this and you like me, that I can touch you, I can hug you, I can talk to you, and I'm not going to offend you in any way, or you're not going to use what we say or use getting to know each other against me in social media or the world or any of these types of things. And the reason why I'm saying this, and this is very true today, because social media has become so powerful as of a tool that you can ruin people's lives with it very quickly, okay? But I've heard these stories. I don't know to be accurate. These are hearsays. And I've heard this from other people that are in college. Imagine this. You're a beautiful young lady. You've maybe had one sexual experience in your life, and you're kind of true to yourself, trying to hold yourself to a higher standard, and you want to be with a man. This guy comes in and sells you a bag of chips, right? I'm just going to say a bag of chips. He romances you, tells you everything you want to hear, and you turn around and you fall for this guy. You sleep with this guy. He entices you to sleep with him. All of a sudden, the girl texts him, text, and she gets ghosted. The dude goes and basically says, I got what I wanted. I'm out of here. Okay. But then the girl about a week later goes to the police and says, you know what? I did that against my will.
You know, it's interesting that we're having this conversation because one of the things most people don't know about me is I'm actually a subject matter expert and I teach CLE courses. And my CLE course, as a subject matter expert in massage therapy, because with what I do for a living, 2 people go into a room, one person takes their clothes off,
Right.
the other person stands in a position of power over them. When the person on the table is a woman and the therapist is a man, I mean, what could possibly go wrong in that scenario?
Right.
And so my CLE course that I teach is called Assault on the Massage Table has #MeToo gone too far. Because and I come in as that discriminating expert because there are women that feel violated but weren't.
Sure.
And there are situations, and I will stand up for a man, and there's this like, I'm all for being a strong woman. I don't like the word feminism because I feel like the zealots have made it a dirty word. But I am all about, being a strong woman, being an independent, self-sufficient, know your own worth woman, and not taking crap off of anybody and not letting anybody treat you like garbage, and standing up for yourself and all those good things. But when you cross a line into man-hating and emasculating and targeting young boys and taking out your traumas that, for whatever reason, whatever happened in your life, taking it out, because that is one of the things that can happen to young boys, is, the education system. You see this. You've got this very feminine work environment. Most teachers are female. And a lot of women have had terrible experiences with men. And it's super unfortunate and it's terrible. But rather than getting the therapy that they need and working through that and healing and forgiving and dealing with their traumas, they keep it all inside and then they project the trauma onto a young boy or onto a teenager or onto a guy that they're dating. And girls, let me just tell you, you need to, that is just as abusive. If a man's walking down the street and assaults a woman, that is a reputational assault. That's a reputational rape. You can ruin his life. These guys that are massage therapists that get wrongfully accused go on the sexual predator list. They lose their livelihood. And that's just inexcusable. That's just as much of a professional and reputational rape as when a man forces himself on a woman.
I was talking to Ken, and Ken said that he has a lot of women in their 40s, 50s that are divorced, even married, that are not getting pleasure the way they want, and they approach him and they solicit to him. He tells me that, there's a few that come in there all the time.
Oh yeah, we've talked about some of those fun stories.
Yeah, so tell me about the funniest story. You said you were earlier on telling me about some funnies. Now, there was this, y'all were talking. I laughed so damn hard. I was bawling. It was okay. All right. You said, hey, you want the Asian massage? And
okay, so it was a spoof.
And
it was a YouTube video. I don't know what it's called, but a woman with a very thick Asian massage. At one point in the video, the guy's on the table. She's like, you want hijab? You want handjob?
Handjob.
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 You want handjob?
You want handjob?
Handjob.
Handjob?
Handjob.
Okay.
Right. And so she's like, $50.
$50?
And so he gives her, oh yeah. Yeah. So he gives her $50. And then she starts in.
And she starts doing
with the hand jive.
Hand jive.
The hand jive.
Super fun. Okay.
And then he's like, okay. And then she's like, you flip over and we finish with happy ending. And he's just like,
happy ending. Say that again.
Happy ending.
Oh, you're so good at that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of jokes in my profession.
All right. So say it again. Go in.
So she's like, you want happy ending? And he's like, yeah, $50. And so he's like, okay. And so at this point, she's like rubbing him on the chest. You want happy ending? You want happy ending? And so he's just like, but he's kind of been taken on the last one. So he's a little like leery, but he's like, yeah, I do. So he gives her another $50 and balloons and confetti fall and the lights turn up and the whole staff comes in and it's like, happy.
Happy.
The
whole staff.
There's like 10 people in the room dancing around the table about happy ending. And And it's just like, you like your happy ending? And he's just
hilarious.
sitting there like, oh my gosh, what happened?
I don't care. That's funny the first time and the second time.
So, I mean, obviously there's so many spoofs.
Yeah.
You know, it's a sacred trust. It's an intimate relationship.
Have you ever had to kick anybody out?
Usually what happens when I've had an inappropriate advance is I handle myself in the kind of professional manner that embarrasses them and they never come back.
Here's the thing. I get massages and I get worked on, and I prefer to have a man, number one. But number two is I wear my damn underwear, man.
Okay, whatever.
I'm just saying I wear them because I want to be stretched. I like my legs to be moved over, and I don't like the towel always, or the table where they take the
drape.
I'm like, bro, just take the shit off. I'm ready to be stretched out. Let's just go. I'm here to get therapy.
Well, then you've obviously never had a good drape job or a good stretch job on the table. That's okay. We're gonna fix that.
All right.
Yeah. So I'll make a believer out of you.
Yeah, I don't want to get any arousal on the table. Now,
What's so funny about that is you will be begging for mercy, and I'm not talking about a sexual way.
Here's the thing.
There are any guy that has, and I actually use this as a tool whenever a guy, because first off, you have to take into account that when you're working up the legs, there is a certain blood flow. And so sometimes erections happen and it's totally not intentional. And as a professional, it's not like I'm going to take that personally.
No.
So now if and when there have been a situation where there has been an arousal that I do deem to be inappropriate, I can deflate that bad boy real quick with a couple of really tender fascial lines right near the knee all the way up to the groin. I promise you that thing will go.
It goes down real quick.
Real quick.
You know how to make it go up, and you know how to make it go down.
Well, I know how to do my job. Let's just say that
I
know
have
how to.
6 kids, so you must be pretty good at it.
I know how to do my job, no matter what that job is.
I love the eyebrows.
So.
You're so good with the eyebrows.
I just can't believe. So this guy asked me to come on a podcast. We just got off the massage table.
Yeah.
I got greasy hair, no makeup.
Yeah.
Just like whatever. He's like, no, that's part of the story. And I'm like,
but you know
whatever.
What? You're just so.
I clean up good, though. I promise.
I
clean up good.
I'm sure you do. Your energy is 1,000, man. I fucking love it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, but this is fun. I think this is the beginning. We've made social deposits.
Yes.
We've opened a bank account.
Yes. Yeah, we just opened it.
We've opened a bank account.
Yeah.
And
I want to hear more, though. You're amazing.
Well,
you took $100 bank account to getting $100,000 business, and now you're about to open up an $800,000 business.
Well, that's the initial investment. So basically, and again, this is social capital. This is how this happened. So, and it all happened because of COVID. So we've had almost a 300% growth from 2020 to 2021.
300%. So you're banking some money right now.
We're doing very well.
So you have college funds for the kids now?
No, I don't pay for my kids' college because they're not going to value something that they haven't invested in. So my kids know that they are not expecting anything from me on college because
Would you ever co-sign on a loan for them?
It depends on the loan.
Okay.
Possibly.
Maybe.
But I basically
how much they deposited in your account?
Well, I tell my kids.
Unless they clean the house?
No, I tell my kids, once you're 18, I am completely absolved of any obligation. And anything that I do for you to that point depends on how much I like you. Now, I always love you,
right?
But there's a difference between loving somebody and liking somebody. You know, and sometimes,
how many deposits are they making?
They're in the red. They got a lot of all of them.
They have the makeup.
They're that's it. But that's age appropriate.
Have you taught them that?
I have.
Your dad taught you so much. Have you passed down that knowledge?
I have, but whether they're paying attention will remain to be seen.
They need to come to your class.
I feel like all kids start in the red because you've given them, but it's a pass it forward. Right. So their kids will be in the red to them.
So you got 300% growth.
300% growth. And so I'm
making money.
I'm making money.
You're comfortable now.
I'm doing
You're eating out.
Great.
You're eating out.
Actually, I was able to bring my husband home as a stay-at-home dad because he hated his corporate construction job, and he was able to take kind of a hiatus and go take care of his family. And he has really stepped up. He used to be totally afraid of it, but he's trying new things.
You doing meal prep yet?
He is, and he does shopping, and he takes out the trash, and he cleans the toilets now.
Is he for hire?
Good luck. He's a tough sell.
That's all right.
He's a tough
I'm
sell.
friendly.
Yeah, well.
If he was an ex-cop, I've got a gun range on my farm.
Ooh, you know what? That and cars, and you're golden.
I think me and him will be friends.
I think you guys will be friends.
I can hit it off.
I think you'll be just fine.
I got him.
So I'm at one of the things I take the money because I got a lot of free money.
Sure.
Through EIDL and through PPP, and I invested it back into the business. And one of the things I joined was the Hood Hargett Breakfast Club.
Hood Hargett
The
Breakfast Club.
Hood Hargett Breakfast
What is that?
Club. I might have to invite you to one of our events.
That'd be
in fact,
awesome.
I will tell you about that afterwards. So
Sure.
it's pretty much, in my opinion, the most effective networking group in Charlotte because it's based on relationships. Like our members are the Knights, Duke Energy, the CMPD, Goodwill.
Man.
So a lot of you got the 24 Foundation, you got the Isabella Santos Foundation. So it's like this conglomerate of small, medium, and large business. We just got Nucor. One of my clients is a decision maker for Nucor. So
The
I just
guy that actually was the
recruited.
president of Nucor in the past is actually a friend of mine.
Okay, yeah. So the person that made the decision to join the group is a client of mine. So we got talking
That's
and
awesome.
make those
I
social
would love it.
deposits. And so now Nucor is a member. And so I'm at one of these events, and the hotel is the Hyatt Centric. That is, so it's industry exclusive. So there's one,
Right.
and it's $12,000 a year to be a member.
Wow.
Because, and there's all these events, but they have
But it
these.
gets you in front of the real important people.
It gets you in front of decision makers, and what it is it's an opportunity to build the relationship. Because I promise you, if you pay your $12,000 and show up and expect people to come to you, you're wasting your money.
You better walk up and talk to them.
You better know how to make those social deposits.
You know what? I have one of my really close friends right now. It's like one of my dearest friends. When I first met him for the first time, he's a very famous person in our world. And I wouldn't say famous. He's well known. He's one of the best at what he does. He's won competitions. He's Instagram, Facebook, and in our industry, he's very looked up to. Okay, and we're sitting at this table in an awards ceremony for a conference, and he was one of my first podcasts. And I was on there, and I walk up to him, and he didn't know this until actually we did the podcast. I'm 6'2", 250. I walk in larger than life, high energy, hyper, ready to go. Let's party. And so I walk up and he goes, "Hey man, I'm Clear Brock Chris." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I know who you are." And he goes, "You don't know who I am?" He goes, "I'm Mike motherfucking Burke." And I did it as me being me, which is like a parody of myself, which is like I'm making fun of myself.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is I'm the quickest person to make fun of myself.
Oh,
I
sure.
own it.
Yeah,
Because I love myself.
that's right. I can
I'm a
take
comedian.
it.
I can take it. I can give it. I'm a comedian.
But you learn real quick. There are people that will dish it and they can't
They
take
can't
it.
I love taking it.
Oh,
'Cause
man.
Then I put it in my bank account because then when I'm time to give it back out, it's coming.
That's right. You take it and you use
But
it.
the thing is, I was making a parody of myself and being funny because it was very obvious everyone knew who he was. So I was making a joke like, "You don't know who I am?
Yeah.
You don't know who I am?
Yeah.
I'm like motherfucking Burke, bro. Like, you don't know me?
Where you been?
Yeah, where you been, dog?"
the heck?
But the thing is, for fucking like 3 years, he tells that story to everybody how we met, and we became this really close, group of good friends. And he was telling this story for so long, and he didn't really understand that I was doing it more of. I wasn't intimidated by him, but it was like I was honored to sit with him because he is a very respected person in our industry.
Because you're looking to learn and you have that growth mindset.
See?
And you're not intimidated by people more successful than you. You see that as an opportunity
Yes.
to learn from them instead
Yes.
of having a kind of a covetous, jealous
Yeah.
mentality of, "Oh, well, they don't have I want what they have and I don't have it." And
But here's the thing. How do you handle people when they take you the wrong way? That you really want to try to become.
typically, and actually this goes back to even my husband. So a lot of times I rub people the wrong way. And then as I have opportunities and sometimes I don't have, sometimes you don't get the second chance because it's just the circumstance. But my husband and I got off way on the wrong foot. Like, could not stand each other. We were serving as missionaries in South America, and he looked down his nose at me and scoffed, and I was just like, "Ew, who spit in your bean curd?" Because I was happy and excited, and he was in a bad mental space. And so, like, when I went up to introduce myself, he looked down his nose at me and went, "Ugh," literally like that. And I was just like, "Oh, I don't know who spit in your bean curd, but you just got blacklisted. I am not interested." So those types of things happen, but there are opportunities for redemption. So I find that a lot of times people who I get off on the wrong foot with, eventually
Come around.
they come around.
But what if they don't and you want them to?
That's up to them. You can't control other people.
This is true, but you make effort, and they have a wrong opinion of you that you want to change.
All you can do is go the distance and continue to be consistent and authentic and genuine, and that consistency
What do you
is
think
key.
about gifts? What happens when people give you gifts where you're like, why are you giving me gifts?
You know, gifts mean different things to different people, and it depends on what you mean by a gift. Are you talking a gift that's like take me out to dinner gift? Are you talking about like
say somebody
like,
randomly just send like
a
they
card,
they send you a T-shirt, they send you lunch, they send you cookies, they send you things, and you didn't ask for it, but you're like, why are they sending all these things to me? Are they trying to buy my attention? Are they trying to buy my?
Well, I try to look at it to like when I give people things, I like to assume the best of people because I want people to assume the best of me. That's karma, right?
Sure.
Like.
I wouldn't want people to do that to me sometimes, so I don't want to do that to them.
Well, but there are things that I do that are nice for other people, but usually I establish some sort of rapport first. So I think that's the mistake people make is both when there's no rapport and then you give something, there's that automatic defensiveness that, well, what do they want from me?
Right. That's how I get.
And so I can
People
understand.
try to be nice to me, and I'm sitting there going, "Why?" That's why I have. I consider it a force field. I always say that you have 3 layers of me. You get through the first layer, you get to the second, then you get to the third, then you get to the good. Mm-hmm. And I have a force field because I'm sitting there going, I have a lot to give people. Mm-hmm. I'm a very genuine person. I really am a kind-hearted person. I have no ill intent. I want just everyone to succeed.
But you're also a protector, and you're not going to allow people to take advantage of you. And more importantly, because you and I were both bullied as children,
right.
When we got to a place where we were older, we bullied the bullies. And when we would see, I'm telling you right now, in 100%. High school, when you would see somebody getting picked on, I would go up to dudes. I would go up to dudes your size. Like, I would get in their face and I'd be like, I'm smaller than you. Why don't you pick on me? I'm like, well, you feel that bad about yourself that you got to pick on this guy? Look, I'm here. Pick on me. You are just a sad sack of sorry excuse of a human being and they would just like, and they would
shrivel up. They would.
And I'm like, look, I'm smaller than you. I'm like, take your shot.
So why?
Because, I was teaching one of my tween this, hurt people hurt people. That's why. That's why people are bullies, because deep down they have a hurt inside and they don't know how to fix it and they don't know how to heal it and they don't know what to do with it. And so they externalize it.
Right.
So when you're trying to get through to somebody and you can't get through, it's because they have a level of hurt that they haven't dealt with, and that's their baggage.
Right.
And unless and until they deal with that, all you can do is be that consistent force for good.
Right.
We
were hurt, so we want to help.
They have a choice too.
We were hurt, so we want to help.
Right. And I was targeted. I was
being little girl.
Yeah.
In school. But gang members making fun of you.
Yeah, threatening to beat me up. I never did.
No physical altercations.
There was one girl when I was in the 7th grade
could run
that
fast, though.
I'm
not that fast?
I'm not a fast runner. I have quick reflexes.
There you go.
But I'm not a fast. Like when I played basketball, I could pick people all day long, but they always catch me on the fast break because I'm slow. So like I run the hurdles. I got great.
Is it wrong to say you're a white girl?
No, white girl can't jump. I like seriously.
See, I'm scared to say anything associated with color these days.
No, it's fine. Like honestly.
You think that's gone
So
overboard?
Brigham Young, the founder of my alma mater, one of my favorite sayings. He said, he or she who takes offense when no offense is intended is a fool.
Is a fool.
And he or she, but there's more. He or she that takes offense when offense is intended is still a fool. You have a choice. You can choose to be offended or not choose. It all comes down to choice. And people who are going to choose to be offended are going to be offended. So you just got to go live your best life. And I've got this I
love yourself.
I love myself, but I also have this protective, you called it a shield. I call it
force field.
You call it a force field. I call it a shield. Okay. And so I have really good boundaries, and it's important, and I can tell from you, you're a giver, but you also know how. Do you have a hard time receiving from people?
100%.
Okay, so you're a giver.
I love giving, but I don't like taking gifts.
Yeah, but see,
I tell everybody Christmas, don't give me anything.
Yeah, but the inherent issue in that's a humility thing, because it's just as important to learn to graciously receive as it is to selflessly give. See, I'm the opposite. See, givers and takers givers get a good rap and receivers get a bad rap. I used to think because I was I helped take care of my younger siblings, and I was always taught serve, serve, give, give, give. So I was raised by a giver and culturally programmed to give. I thought I was a giver. And it wasn't until I was like a young mother in my early 20s, I realized, oh my gosh, I am not a giver. I am a receiver.
Huh.
If my car breaks down, I'm calling everybody. I am not afraid to ask for favors. I'm not afraid to ask, look, I need this. I need some help. And so I had to learn to, for me, I have to learn to give without expectation, because receivers, an imbalanced receiver becomes what everybody thinks, a taker, right? A mooch. But an imbalanced giver becomes an enabler and becomes somebody with poor boundaries. So it sounds like you have the giver, but you've learned to put up, but you weren't always that way, were you?
I'm getting gifts now from people that mean something to me because I've given them gifts. But even when I get a gift from someone that I've never given a gift to, I'm better at it now than I used to be.
So how did you learn? Because I promise you, if you're a giver, you had a boundary issue when you were younger.
Sure.
So see, here we're going into like, now we're sweet. I'm interviewing you. So what experiences or experience, maybe it was an aha moment, maybe it was an epiphany, led you to realize I need to have better boundaries. People are walking all over me and I'm giving and people are using me.
My first business was Light and Mike's window tinting. And I just basically built, like you said, social deposits everywhere. And I started feeling obligations to all my friends I grew up around to come in and get free work. I wanted to give free work away. And then all of a sudden they started asking, oh, bro, we're boys, man, we're friends. And I would have guilt where I would be like, man, I felt guilty.
There's the key word.
Guilt. I felt guilt.
See, I always tell
And I
people,
let it go.
So
I
givers,
finally let it go.
givers tend to have a bigger guilt button.
Yes.
Receivers have a really small
Guilt
button.
Yeah.
I tell people, I have a guilt button, but you better have a sharp pencil.
I'm learning.
And you better know exactly
you know
where
what
to
the
push.
difference is? I'm 49 years old now. And it took me a few years. It took me probably 15 years to get there, but I'm there.
Yeah, but I learned from a young, because receivers are usually very
Nobody
fierce.
walks over me now.
No.
Nobody.
No. Yeah.
I mean, nobody.
But see, that's how I've always been.
I know. I did early on and in periods of my life where I was more vulnerable than others.
We all go through those times where we're
think
more
so.
vulnerable.
I think
and
I was more vulnerable.
That's where we learn, okay, how can I protect myself? And then how can I protect others?
One thing I live by, one slogan I live by is, I might not be the best. I might not be the best, but it'll take the fucking best to beat me.
Well, another thing
Is that
I like
too cocky to say?
No, well, you better
I'm not
know
the
it.
best,
Yeah,
but
well,
it will take the best to beat me though.
Yeah,
And you know what the thing is? If someone does beat me, the very first thing I want to do, shake their fucking hand, man. Dude, you earned it, bro.
I'll tell you, I dated this guy in college,
Or
and
girl, it doesn't matter. If you beat me, you earned it.
I dated this guy in college, and I never played racquetball, but turns out I'm like made for racquetball because my fast twitch, I'm like lightning. I'm like one of those spies.
Love
I'm
it.
like, whoo,
Yeah.
or I can catch
I didn't
things.
see that. Do it again.
Because I'm so fast. So anyways, so he took me to the racquetball court, and he'd been playing he was really good. And so we started to play, and he was wiping the floor with me, but it's my first time playing. And then he starts to take it easy on me.
Oh, that sucks. You
And
can't do that.
I walked up to
I don't
him.
want anybody to take it easy
I
on me.
grabbed him by the shirt and I pulled his 6-foot ass down to my face. And I said, you listen to me. I said, you play as hard as you can every single time. Do you want to know why? And he's just like, why? And I'm like, because I'm going to learn and get better from you playing as hard as you can. And I'm telling you right now, eventually I will beat you.
I love it.
And he laughed at me. He laughed at me. And guess what? 2.5 months later.
You beat his ass.
Yeah, I did.
Good. Hey,
I may not be the best, but I'll work harder.
Yeah. I like to work harder than the guys.
Yeah.
Talent is only talent for so long. You got to work hard.
Yeah, that's right.
Your story is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I love you to death. I have actually genuinely just found a new friend.
Well, I did too.
yeah, I
this
love
was
it.
awesome.
I'm
and I
so
know you
happy.
have another appointment coming.
I do. I've got a buddy of mine that's going to come on, and I'm heading out of town. I'm heading to Germany. So I'm trying to cram in a few podcasts before I get out of town.
Well, this was kind of a really fun impromptu, last minute,
I laughed.
I don't know if I made you cry, but
No, maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, on your podcast.
Okay,
You can
yeah.
interview me.
That's good.
You can get deep.
Yeah.
You can go
well,
into my
it's
soul.
It's called Lipstick in the Trenches. So
Lipstick in the trenches.
Yes. So we go. In other words, we're all in the trenches of life doing the best we can, but we may as well look. I'll give the guys chapstick. I mean, if you want to wear lipstick, that's cool too.
I don't mind.
Whatever. But in other
As long
words,
as it tingles.
oh, well, that's a different kind of product. You're gonna have to talk to the estheticians about that. But
Anyway.
the whole point is that life is hard, and we're in the trenches, and
Right.
it's like life is a war zone.
War.
It's a
Every day.
freaking
You're
war
fighting-
zone
you're
everywhere
fighting it.
you go. But you know what? You may as well put on your lipstick and look good while you're doing it.
Love it.
So that's the kind of the.
Thank you so
where
much
that
for
comes
coming
from.
on.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.